Hi, everyone. Welcome to the stream today. It's Miriam. I'm happy to be here with Gheri Thomas, fashion designer, sustainability advocate, and mother powerhouse chica woman.
Yes.
How are you this morning, girl?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It is already a crazy weekend, and I know for you as well. I'm moving this weekend. I have two commissions, and there's been just a lot on my plate, but I'm getting everything done, and I'm very excited.
Nice. So, why don't you just bring everyone up to speed a little bit with your story, how you got into designing fashion, and just your life as an entrepreneur?
Sure. I'll start with the beginning, which really starts with me being a child. Uh-oh, are you gone?
I'm here. I'm just featuring you.
Okay. Well, so I want to say probably by the age of 9 is when my mother started to make me keep my drawings and date them. But I've been drawing since before I can remember. Don't know, I just never stopped as far as like kids that draw and scribble. And started with me drawing a lot of Disney princesses and different things, and I would always change up what they were wearing. But then it got to a point right at 9 that I started to draw what I wanted to see, and my mom would notice that everything I drew about 2 years later, she would see in stores or she would see celebrities wear like 2 years later. And it was always right on that mark. So she had me start signing and dating. So I would say that I've been a trend forecaster, since I was a child. And but I didn't know what trend forecasting was. I didn't know what that meant. And what my mom said was, "Oh, you must want to be a fashion designer." So we did everything from coming from my little country bumpkin area of Alabama to get me set up and prepared. I went to and graduated from Savannah College of Art and Design back in 2013. I was also uh, certified by the CFDA, the Council of Fashion Designers of America, as an expert in the field of fashion illustration. So everything that I do with my first business, Gheri Thomas Collective LLC, is help other designers bring their ideas to life and consult other designers on different forecasting things that are coming up. What I've done with ID Vower, that was actually an idea. It is an idea that actually started in 2017. Pretty much the same concept. Let people bring their own ideas and designs to life. However, this is for those who maybe didn't go to college. This is for those who it's just your average everyday girl that maybe loves to go thrift shopping and cut up some thrift clothes and DIY type of girl. I have something for her, and I have something also for emerging designers who maybe didn't finish college or maybe did but don't have the resources to create their own capsule collections. They'll be able to do that through ID Vower. And so how we do that is you can go onto the site, and right now I just have the sign up. We're building out the MVP now, but in the MVP, you go onto the site, you pick out a silhouette. You can alter that silhouette how you wish, or you can order it as is. You can alter. So when I say alter, change the neckline, hemline. You can add ruffles, different things of that nature. And then you can change the fabric as well. That's the second step. There you go. That's the sign up. You can change the fabric as well. Um, and then last but not least, you take our fit. What am I getting? We have like a fit matching quiz. Take the fit matching quiz, and then you can figure out what your avatar looks like, get it to your shape and size, and try on what you just created. So, and that's our little website. So that's our sign up website. Just kind of getting people, a taste of what it is that we'll be doing, and signing up for it if you're to be one of our first users for the MVP when we test it out. We want it to be a fun experience. We want everything to be enjoyable, and like we want almost like a game. We want you to have fun on there creating yourself and creating the clothes, so that yeah, it's just a all around fun experience.
Very cool. I mean, building a business is really hard. So kudos to you.
Yeah.
What is this universe? I've never heard of this. Create a website for free thing. This looks cool.
Yeah, it's just something I wanted to do real quick just to get the job done, as far as just collecting emails of those who are interested. But my UX designer and we're building out the MVP. It's a lot involved. We're right now in the process of making it a more streamlined experience for the user. Not too many choices to start off with, so you don't get overwhelmed, but also just enough to where if there's something that's in your mind or just something that you think is cute, like we're making every single combination of pieces really nice to look at, and fitting different styles. So it's so interesting taking such a broad concept and so many different types of people with different styles and making it, available to where people from different backgrounds or people with different tastes can still go onto my website and make what they're wanting.
Mm-hmm. And tell me a little bit about the sustainability aspect of it, because I know you talk about fast fashion, the detriment of it. So how are you building differently as a founder?
Yes. So this is not, I can't call this fast fashion, but I can't call it slow fashion either. Um, we're looking at a 2 to 3 week turnaround estimate of how long we think it'll take to make somebody's order. So everything's made to order. It's almost like ordering off a menu. And hint, hint, that's another reason why we call it hour. Everything has like a cute little reference to food. So it's like
Okay.
our menu. We have 3 different tiers of membership. We have just a taste, which is for those girls who I say are just looking for something that will fit them. They're not necessarily wanting to, throw in the kitchen sink and have all these different crazy designs. They just want something that'll fit their body. So that's the just the taste tier. And then we have a whole snack. That's the middle tier. That's for your DIY girl that likes to thrift and like to cut up stuff and change stuff around. We'll have a few options for her and some fun stuff for her to play with. And then finally we have the whole meal, the full course meal. I'm gonna say the full course meal is the last tier. That's going to be for your emerging designers who have quite a good bit of experience or understanding and expertise in fashion design, and they may want to create a full capsule collection through our business, and they can do that. So yeah, it's a little bit of it's fun. It's like ordering menus, like made to order. Think about a restaurant or a fast food chain where you already have the order as is, but you can add on. You can add on bacon, take off lettuce, so on and so forth. Same concept.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
that's very cute. I love that. How creative.
Yeah, it being made to order is what is helping with sustainability. I'm wanting to, not going to give a promise just yet, but I'm wanting to also use recycled fabrics, upcycled fabrics, or blends that are like recycled wools, things like that. However, the only issue is when it comes to us doing customized printing, and we've been working the kinks out with this. When it comes to us doing customized printing, there's sublimation printing, which I have a link to. But to do sublimation printing, you have to do it on poly, you know, at least 70% polyester fabrics. And of course, once polyester fabrics make their way through their life cycle, they're more than likely going to be burned, which causes a huge carbon footprint.
Mm,
So to have things printed on natural fabrics like, uh, you know, wool, silk, cotton, things of that nature, it'll be a very dull print if we use sublimation. It still could work, but you would have to understand that. And I think it's just too much for the user to deal with and understand. So I'm thinking about digital printing. I'm thinking about, there's also screen printing as well. But sublimation just, to me, it's faster and it's more efficient. So I'm just wondering, maybe I'll do upcycled fabrics to have another hand in sustainability practices, as well as things being made to order and not having excess mass produced orders that maybe not end up getting sold and have to go, trickle down that supply chain to end up being somewhere in a third world country being burned. I want to have as little product made as possible so that it just fits the needs of the users and the consumers. No excess. That's what I'm trying to do. So
hmm And so each one of these designs are going to be unique. They're one of a kind, one of one.
I can't say that they're one of one. It's very,
Okay.
as we gain more and more consumers, that 2, 3, maybe 4 consumers may end up making the same product, right? They might do the same combination. It might be a couple combinations that are really popular. So can't say that they're one of one, but extremely rare, definitely.
So you're coming up with kind of like the baseline design,
Hmm.
and then they can modify and change just a few things here and there.
Hmm. Yep.
Okay, got it. Now kind of understanding. Well, that's wonderful because I mean, I'm bringing up your Instagram here so people can kind of take a look and see
At everything I do. Yeah.
exactly the styles and the different design elements. It's just really quite beautiful, these things that you put together. I love this dress. Like, I'm like, okay, that's me. I'm in that for sure.
Thank you. I have not posted any designs for I Devour. Everything under Gheri Thomas is what I do for Gheri Thomas Collective, working as a freelance illustrator for different designers.
Oh,
So
that's so beautiful.
page, and you got some stuff for my daughter, me and my daughter stuff. But most of the things you'll see on that page are commissions, or alterations that I've done for friends and for clients, just different things of that nature.
Got blocked out of Instagram. Ugh.
No, what happened?
Oh, yeah, they're just wanting me to sign in. I'm on, you know how it is. I'm on
Yeah,
different
because you're on.
browser and this and that, whatever.
But yeah, that last drawing you saw, that blue dress, with the other outfits, that was actually a commission by a retired fashion designer from the 70s. They wanted me to revamp their collection from the 70s, and so I redrew it for them, got it framed and sent off to them. Things like that I do. I bring people's ideas to life. I refresh things, or I help them come up with the first ideation. There's a client I'm working with right now. I'm so excited. I can't speak about it, but I'm so excited to work with her. Um, she's doing her first collection, and I'm the person who's helping her basically relay what's in her head to her seamstress so that it's done correctly. And that's what I do with Gheri Thomas Collective. That's what I do to fuel everything I need for I Devour. So
Mhm.
they both work hand in hand.
So let's say I wanted to go about starting a fashion line myself. What are like the quick steps broadly that one would need to do to bring it to life?
Okay. Well, I think the first thing that you would need to know if you want to create a clothing line, I want to say the most important thing to me is knowing who your consumer is. So that trend forecast, consumer analysis is extremely important. Everybody has an idea. A lot of people can come up with, a cool looking skirt, a cool looking dress, or even have some sort of aesthetic. But who are you selling it to? That's like the biggest thing. You might have a cool idea and it may be cool for you, but if you're your consumer, it's probably the first red flag. You're just one person. You have to make sure that there's more than just you that's interested in this brand. So I think that's step number one. Step number two would be understanding pattern making. And you may not have to understand how to sew, but you would at least need to know pattern making, which is if you were to take any garment you have in your closet apart and rip all the seams up apart, take all the thread out, you would be left with pieces. And so those pieces are shaped in certain ways. And if you're looking at a pant leg and can't tell that it's a pant leg, if you're looking at a bodice and don't know what you're looking at, I don't know how you're going to be able to line and be able to explain to a manufacturer what you're making. So I think number two, as a designer, understanding patterns, knowing how to pattern make. Number three is having some type of way to relay and communicate between what's going on in your brain and what you're wanting to create to those who are creating it for you if you're not creating it yourself. So
Mm.
that can be through illustrations and sketches, that can be through technical flats, that can be through a technical packet, which has your specs and your pattern pieces and the thread count and basically an instruction manual of how to put this garment together. You're going to need some type of form of communication to get these produced, or produce them yourself. If you're producing them yourself, then you need to know everything.
Hmm.
So it's just, I personally feel like you should know everything anyway, because it's going to save you time and money. If you know how to sew, if you know how to pattern make, if you know how to design, if you know how to do everything, then when it comes to hiring others to get them done at a faster pace, if something's going wrong, you can stop it before it gets finished to say, hey, that's not how I want this sleeve done. Hey, this is actually how you sew in the, I actually would rather you not sew in the round. I'd rather you sew the sleeve cap on first and then go up the side seam, and sew from the side seam all the way to the sleeve. That way you don't even have to worry about sewing it around. That's a difficult thing to do.
Right.
You wouldn't know that if you don't know how to sew and don't know anything about patterns.
Right.
And also the amount of time and money that's spent in sample making, if you don't know what you're doing and don't know how to communicate with your manufacturer or with your seamstress who's making your samples, you're going to spend a lot of time and a lot of money remaking samples over and over and over again until you finally get it right. So it just makes sense to know your craft before you go into that business. That's my 3 things.
100%. What have been some of the challenges that you have overcome on this journey?
Ooh. So many. First I would say first thing was when in 2017 I felt like I had nothing. And I had just come out of a really bad relationship, and I had my baby, and I was going through postpartum depression and all these other things. And when I had the idea for I Devour, as you guys are listening, it's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. And I knew the first problem I knew I was going to run into was, if I'm doing all these things that are custom made to order, and there's so many different styles, as you change a ruffle, that's a whole different style, and we're talking about one item that can be made into 6 different looks. And that's just for the one item. And we're talking about having a whole collection every, season. That's a lot of work. How am I going to get these things made? I'm just one person. So even though I love my idea as I came up with it, I was like, there's no manufacturer that's going to do these small orders for me. So I'm going to either have to learn how to get all these things done really quickly by myself, which is impossible, or I'm going to have to build my own factory. That was the first challenge. And back in 2017, I had no idea how I was going to proceed onward with it. What I started doing was just sketching all these different body types, because there's inclusivity with my brand as well. So I started sketching out all these different body types, and I say, okay, first thing I'm going to work on is body matching, style matching. How can I make it simple for a consumer to figure out which body type is their body type, and make it fun, not make it intimidating or make it a self-esteem issue type of thing. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing I started working on. I said, I'll worry about manufacturing later. I'll worry about how this is going to get done later. Let me just flesh out my idea. And the second problem I came into, I want to say, is probably like an imposter syndrome. I graduated from a great school, and I was certified by the CFDA and all these other wonderful things. But sometimes your accolades just they feel like they don't mean anything. And sometimes your ideas, as grand as they are, if you're not receiving validation for them, sometimes you can feel like, what's the point? So I think that second thing for me was receiving some sort of validation that what I'm doing made sense. Mm-hmm. And I received that to the fullest degree, I want to say this year, when Ralph Lauren came out with a line that's doing something very similar. So as I was explaining my idea to friends over the past few years, or colleagues, different things like that, sometimes it would confuse them. They were like, what exactly are you making? This doesn't make any sense. Well, how? And then if people were in the industry, they would say, okay, that's a cool idea, but how are you going to get it done? Same problems with the manufacturing that I said before. But then Ralph this year came out with a line where you can customize the sleeve and sayings. You can customize different things. They're starting with polos. They're going to move into all the way to denim. So they're doing the same thing. And I have other competitors as well, but for a name as big as Ralph, now I'm like, okay, that's my validation. That lets you know that there's a market for it. That lets me know that, this is the future of fashion, which is the way I felt when I first thought of the idea as well. This is the future of fashion. More and more consumers are going to want to take out the middleman and be able to do their own thing. More and more consumers are going to hopefully start to understand the consequences and repercussions of quantity over quality and what that does to our planet, why we're in the state that we're in now. And there are going to be more and more brands pushing for this. So it made me really happy to see Ralph take their brand where they're taking it now, and their reasoning being for sustainability purposes. So that just makes me really happy.
Good for them. I'm happy to hear that. So you mentioned inclusivity, style matching, body matching. I think that's beautiful. What is the reasoning behind that? Can you talk about your thoughts when it comes to how the woman's body is controlled, men's body too? You know, at this point, we're talking about it all, and the effects that it has on us. I know we have a few minutes left, but like these are deep topics that are very important.
Sure, and they're extremely important to me and my brand. So again, back in 2017, after I had my baby, I was going through postpartum, and I would order my. This is going to be a little bit TMI, so I'll try to think about my wording. But I was breastfeeding, and they got huge. They got huge. They got huge fast, and I didn't know. It's like I had nothing that I could wear that would fit unless it was. I didn't have a lot of casual clothes either at the time either. So I just had nothing that would fit. I was just always walking around the house just bare. And so I always had to see myself bare. And I was always feeding every 2 hours or so. And if I wasn't feeding, I was pumping. So I was just always bare. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror and it's like, okay, I'm not quite happy with what I'm looking at. I don't recognize myself anymore. I don't know what my style is anymore because I can't wear any of my clothes. I started getting rid of old clothes. I thought I'd never fit in again. I was ordering new clothes, and by the time they would get to me, I'd be a whole different shape and size. You know, and it was just like, and there was nothing adjustable about these. Like I bought a nursing bra that was a size H, and by the time it got to me, I don't know what size I was anymore. I wasn't even taking anymore. It took a lot of really staring myself in the mirror, getting back into yoga, different things like that, and starting to love my body again. And the process that I went through to love my body is something that I want to be able to share. And it was one of those things where, me as an artist, there is no such thing as an unattractive body. Every body is very interesting, especially to draw. In fact, the more wrinkles you have and the more tissue you have, the more interesting it is to draw. And so I really started to look at myself differently. I started to look at myself in shapes. And I'm like, you know what? This is nice. And that's nice. And this is nice. And actually, when you put it all together, it's really nice. Maybe I should make something that's going to showcase, how I actually look at myself, now that I started looking at myself more bare, more often. Maybe I should make some clothes. So I started to make my own clothes. And the idea for I Devour kind of came up from there. And I was like, I'm just going to make my own maternity wear. Yeah, I still have a baby pooch. No, I'm not pregnant anymore. But I want to make something for me that's going to, like, this is not mine, but this is a top from BCBG.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is something where if you're a mom and you have a mom pooch or anything like that, this hides and still flatters your body shape. It's just different things like that. Just adding that ruffle to this bodice was enough, and it's asymmetrical and it's different and it's sharp and things like that. That's the type of things I'll be bringing to the table. Is if you want a sharp look, you got ways to do that with a completely different type of ruffle and colors. But if you want something that's more girly and frilly, you can do a peplum that spans out, gives you some hip, things like that. Gives you whatever shape that you're desiring or what works best. Or if you want to flaunt what your natural shape is, we can do that as well. There's just so many different ways to go about it. And with the technology that we'll be incorporating with the website, you'll be able to try it on virtually. So you find your body shape, you make your garment, try it on virtually, see if that's what you like before you buy it. And that's the thing. It's like it saves you time. You're not going into our storefront. You're not, we'll eventually, and I know I'm getting way ahead of myself, but eventually in the next, I want to give it about 3 years. I'm wanting to have a brick and mortar where you can come in and get your body scanned and have
Mm-hmm.
accurate measurements. But before then, we're going to just work with the body matching quiz and tweaking your own avatar and things of that nature.
It sounds like a fun future of fashion, and I love knowing you and getting this snippet while you're at this point in the journey. And I'm sure
Yeah, still so early. Still so early.
it's exciting. We are building here. And if you're watching when in the future, make sure you're following Gheri on Instagram. Go to her website for a early list sign up so you can get all the info when I Devour launches. Have a great day.